You recording? All right, guys, welcome to Producer. It's a new podcast idea of bringing in some of the top producers in the Willamette Valley. And I thought, who better than to bring in the one and only Miss Gladys Blum? She has been in the industry for how many years?
46 here.
46 here in Idaho, for one, right? So,
No, California.
California. Okay. So, from Idaho, lived in California, moved here, but 46 years. Wow. Wow. Salem,
Before cell phones, before computers.
that's something that we can touch on how you drummed up business back in the day. Must be completely different from what you do now and what your processes are now too.
You had to find a telephone booth if you were running late.
Yeah, I'll move this up for you, so it sounds good.
Uh,
Yeah, so back then you had to fill out actual loan applications and send them to the lender, and sometimes wait a couple months to figure out if you were approved, right? I mean, a real estate transaction was 6 months back then, right?
Yes, it was. It took a while for sure.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So what was the immediate thing when, you started kind of just knowing this is right for me, and what was the kind of area that you found yourself most successful in, early on?
Early on, we first moved here in 78 and I didn't know anybody. So I realized it was going to have to be my drumming up business. So door knocking, door to door, cold calling. And that's how I started. And you probably, well, you wouldn't remember it at all, but interest rates were peaking 20% there. So it was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So the interest rates, so kind of, synonymous with this, we're in high interest rate market. So you were knocking on doors, and what would your pitch kind of be back then? What how would you land, or what would be your angle? What was your easiest way to engage with them?
Well, just find out about them. And I just created a database from these people that I door knocked and just kind of chatted with them and found out what their plans were and if they did have any thoughts of selling, and just creating that database because I didn't know anybody. And so
Yeah.
then as you get to know people, then you keep visiting them and pretty soon they're referring people to you. And
Wow.
that's how you made it happen.
I mean, and that's kind of what today is all about too, CRMs and database and
Exactly.
engagement. And it's a more unique way, but you just organically made a database, because
Right.
a lot of people find success off just, hey, I was popular in high school, or, I went to a big college and now I'm a real estate agent here. But you create, you just went out and made a database.
Right.
You made a sphere,
Yeah,
right?
I did.
And you also got involved. I know that you got involved into a couple nonprofits. Talk about how that also helped, you get involved with local professionals, and what that did for you, your business.
Yes, my first nonprofit was Salem Leadership Foundation, and I just happened to hear a Sam Skillern talking on the radio, and just kind of talking about Salem Leadership Foundation and how they wanted to have people come to the grade schools on Fantastic Fridays, is what they call them.
Yeah.
So I signed up to do that, and that was the first one. And from there, I got into family building blocks and several others. That it's so important to get involved in the community because that really gets you well known.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Family building blocks is one that I've been a big part
Yeah.
of, and Garden Services, and
Yeah.
a couple other ones as well. But so Salem Leader Foundation, you were probably, I mean, I didn't know it's been around that long.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I was at their first meeting and it was amazing.
And
Just
how big is that transformed since? I mean, that's huge
it is
now.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is huge and has just changed a lot of lives. And um, I've always wanted to be a part where it's helping children and,
Mm.
whatever nonprofit, if they're benefiting children, I want to be a part of it, whether it's,
Yeah,
support or,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that kind of also ties into, what your why is, right? And,
Yeah.
and why, you care so much about this community and what type
Mhm.
of impact you can provide. So that also is something easy, when you're a part of those different things, it's
Right.
also easy for you to talk about with those potential clients and creating that database of I'm involved in these different things. You can come see me at these events. And
Yeah.
that probably helped also create, kind of familiarity with you and them as well. And that's awesome. That's a great thing. I think that's one of the biggest things that I tell any, newer junior loan officer, any loan officer that's struggling or whatever. It's get involved in your community and try to produce some impact. And after that, a good byproduct, yeah, is business. That should come with you being a good person and you
Totally.
going out and doing what you can to, to make your backyard better.
Absolutely.
So was there a kind of a profound moment that that impacted you in the direction of, yeah, okay, I can really do this and I can really sell, that when you're going through those door knocking, and did you just kind of, did it come natural, or did
No.
what was?
Have you ever heard of Mike Ferry?
Yes, he was actually just talking about, that's so funny. Yeah, Mike Ferry, so Tom Ferry's dad, right?
Yes.
Tom or Ted?
I
Yeah.
knew Tom when he was a toddler.
That's odd. Knew him, huh? Where's he from?
Tom?
Yeah.
Well, he's
Oh,
from California.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
So here's the deal. I worked for Prudential. I mean, I started with Dan Chandler,
Yes.
and we went to Prudential.
Yeah.
And I was at a Prudential national convention in '82. And that was my first meeting with Mike Ferry. And I clicked with him immediately.
Mhm.
And started going to every summit.
Yeah.
Mike taught me to think big.
Yeah.
Don't be satisfied with 5 or 6 deals a year.
Hmm.
Think big.
Yeah.
And don't wait for the business to come to you, because
Yeah.
it won't. You go get it.
This is gold. I love this.
And so,
Such simple strategies,
yeah.
but yeah.
And I followed Mike. I mean, I went to everything and learned so much. And I was on his panel for probably 10 years, just sharing with other agents. And
Yeah.
the other thing that happened through Mike was he created masterminds groups.
Wow.
I was probably 15 years with this mastermind group from all over the US.
Hmm.
We met once a quarter in different areas and shared, what they did and how it worked.
Yeah.
Not our competition, but out of area.
So unique. Yeah. Go and figure out, what really, really works and implement that in your
Exactly.
own market.
Yeah.
Right.
I always said if there's only one thing you could gain at a, webinar, not a webinar, but a seminar,
Yeah.
then it was worth going.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that you could apply to your practice.
Take momentum back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. So that's crazy. Mike Ferry. It's so funny that I was just talking about him. Yeah, because Ted Ferry is like the real estate guru. Tom Ferry is the real estate guru.
I know.
And taking strategies, and he's got a great following and a lot of good stuff.
I've gone to Tom a few times too. Mike is the doing it yourself. Tom is getting leads from
delegate and create. How do I?
More technical.
Yeah.
But they're both awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's look at this. What would you say kind of are some of the what's some of the mainstays in Gladys Blum on, kind of your daily activities and kind of your, if I do this, I will create business. Are there kind of different corners of Gladys Blum in your office and your team that you kind of hang your hat on, and okay, if I teach this or if I go do this myself, I'll go drum up business. Is that your database, or is that?
That's pretty much it. That's where most of our business comes from.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit different in that, and Mike taught me this too, that do what you love,
Mm.
do what your passion is. And so early on, my first broker, Dan Chandler, said, "You are great in the field, but you stink at paperwork. Get someone to help you," which I did.
Yeah.
Immediately. I hired someone to do my paperwork. Then I didn't like to spend days and weeks with a buyer.
There.
So I hired buyer's agents.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Mike Ferry, I was probably one of the first agents with a team.
Wow.
What he told me anyway. And it just made it so much simpler because all I could think about was the next house I was going to list.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I won't work a buyer, because special ones I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my passion is to sell or help to sell a person's most important asset, which is their home.
Yeah.
And
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So you just, I mean, that's so insane. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, having a stronghold of, 46 years, being probably in the top, I probably could say that over the last 46 years, you guys have probably been the number one real estate over 46 years in this area, especially Salem specifically. Willamette Valley, obviously top 1, 2, 3 every single year you're there. So to glean some light on your successes, you being one of the first people to create a team totally makes sense. You can only do so much, right?
Exactly.
You really can only do so much.
You would wear yourself out, especially if you were, writing all this paperwork or trying to figure out how to market something. That's not what I love to do.
In home buying is a process. It really is. And you become really close with them and friends, but it does take time to go from house to house to house to house. If you just kind of hyper focused on how do I get, how do I engage with sellers? And that makes total sense on going back to your door knocking, because you engaged with all of that community, and you could tell them, oh, well, I'm talking to this neighbor who's actually going to sell this. And now you're just so well known. Wow. So that early on, that was your day. That's what your days look like, of just creating a database. What is how has that transformed and changed over the years? What does a busy day for Gladys Blum look like right now?
Again, I, communicating with the present listings that you have, calling them, especially in a slow market, you have to stay in touch, communication's critical. Also database, and I do, I should say I do buy leads too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And once I only buy seller leads, and I work them weekly, whether they're good or not, till they tell me to shut up.
And you work those seller leads, or do you have your team do that?
I work I do sellers. That's my job.
Yeah.
So I do seller leads. I have no problem doing open houses, anything that helps my seller's home sell.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Yeah. What would you say, just to kind of shed light on, what would you say what's kind of a fun success story, or maybe like return clients, or, since you've been in it, you probably worked with, grandparents, children and grandchildren at this time, right?
I have 5 generations.
5 generations.
I mean, it's crazy. And there's one particular house I've sold 5 times, and they weren't even related, but
one house 5 times.
I go by that and I say, oh my gosh.
I think I've done one house twice. I don't know if I've ever done, and that's not considering refinances. That's kind of a cheat, but
it's kind of funny.
Yeah. That's awesome. What would you say? Because there's something to creating that lifelong, and this is something that David Delman speaks so heavily on, is it's not just a transaction. You are not just a
Mm.
transaction. You are truly, how do we create a relationship, and how do I become your lender for life or real estate agent for life? How do I just kind of be your asset of whenever you go into real estate? How do you create that type of, embodiment of I am your real estate help and I will help you with your greatest asset and all of that?
Yeah, you hired me. You're my boss. If it doesn't please you, we're not going to do it. You
Yeah.
know, it has to work for them. And it's not about money. It's about doing the right thing.
Hmm.
And
And doing a good job. Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. And then what is your, do you, so like with the CRM, like how do you create, how do you stay in front of these past clients and whatnot? How do you make sure that you capture these this huge load of, of past clients? How do you retain as much as possible?
Well, we do our CRM, and I don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stay in email contact
Yeah.
and sometimes regular postage,
Yeah.
post mail. And we, for years, we gave the Pocket Pal, which
Yeah.
was the little pocket calendar.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And you you wouldn't believe it, but we stopped. We put it down to about 100 now,
Uh-huh.
and there's still about 100 people that want the Pocket Pal.
That's so funny. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody, I mean, everyone in my office says, "Why are you want those? People got their calendar on their phones." And I said, "I promise, there's at least 100 people that want them."
Pocket pals. Okay, so I'll have to sign up for that. I don't know if any of my people want that, but that's amazing. What are other kind of creative fun pot pies or that's so funny. Pot
Yeah.
pie, yeah. I mean, and I guess where have you guys like you leaned light on buy and seller leads or database CRMs, with the updates and technology, where would you say what would you say that's changed for you the most? Like if you look at yourself in the 80s compared to now, what has helped you stay at that type of level through this all? You've just kind of changed with the times. You've
Yeah,
pivoted. Yeah.
you change with the time. I fight it because I really, especially with DocuSign, I really like face to face,
Yeah.
explaining things.
Hmm.
And that's a little tough to deal with because even offers, send them out, they DocuSign them.
Well, and face to face allows you to create a relationship too.
Yeah,
And that is,
just, make them feel more comfortable when there's things they don't understand. And so, yeah.
probably texting is change. I mean, your communication with
Oh,
the
yeah.
with the clients is completely
It
transformed.
is. And I usually, when I talk to them, ask them how they want to
Form of
communicate. If
communication.
it's texting, if it's email, if it's phone,
Yeah.
and then I indicate that on
Yeah.
my sheet. So,
Sure.
yeah.
So in changing times and in a market like this, what would you say? What would you say that kind of keeps you? I mean, all of these things and just the activity. Would you just say doing more of this or that will just kind of show resilience and
Yeah.
kind of keep you at producing?
Yeah. I never worry about conditions,
Yeah.
world conditions. I mean, you just have no reason to worry because you can't change it. So you
Right.
just try to do what you do best and
Yeah.
stay above it.
Yeah.
And
Talk about your family and how that's developed. Because you well, and you can probably just talk about mostly at the beginning of this. Talk about how when you started, Blum Real Estate, and then with your children getting older and whatnot. You know, now your grandchildren getting older as well, right? You've been in this and you've seen them grow up, and some of them work in real estate and some of them have interior design, all these fun things that perfectly married to your business is really cool that you can kind of be kind of the shoulders that has, helped all of these beautiful businesses develop.
When we moved here, of course, the boys were in high school then, and then they all left for college. And I was my own agent with a couple of assistants, probably
Mhm.
3. And my middle son decided he wanted to come, and his degree was in aircraft.
Okay.
Out of college. So I said, well, real estate, you want to do?
Yeah.
So he did come, and he became my prospector.
Okay.
And so he prospected expireds and for sale by owners.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we prospected in those days. And he was good at it. And then my oldest son, who's an accountant, he said, Mom, I think we want to move back home too. So he came back, and he came back as the manager of our team.
Okay.
I didn't want to manage anybody or hire or fire. I just can't do that.
Right. You want to do what you do.
Yeah.
And be
And so
successful
he
in that.
came on to manage the team and, do team meetings and all that
Sure.
stuff. And then I already had buyer's agents then. And then Troy, his degree was in journalism.
Okay. Yeah.
So he came back and he started as a buyer's agent and also did, some journalism stuff for me. And
yeah,
that worked good. And for a while, his wife was front desk or, receptionist. Yeah. And then as the kids grew older, one of my granddaughters, Krista, worked in the office for me. Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen Blum. Yeah, we golfed at Creekside.
He's a great agent.
I love Stephen. Yeah.
He does buyers, but also sellers, but he's just a great agent. I think he's having a better year than anybody this year.
Wow.
He's just knocking them.
Kudos to Stephen this year, grinding in this market. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so he's still with me. He started while he was attending Corbin, just, working in the office. But
yeah. He's a baseball player. So that probably kind of instinctually, all those habits that you build and whatnot, that you reap what you sow. Exactly. If you're not practicing, you're not going to be successful if you're not showing up. And I catch him as one of those guys that, he'll do the work. He'll do the hard work.
And he's created such a following.
Yeah.
So, everybody loves him. He for a while he was working out with people, and then they would become his his agent.
That's his database building, right? There you go. Yeah.
And then of course Taylor came in as a stager. And
yeah. So, she does great work too. I've been seeing all of her posts and whatnot. Yeah. That's awesome. That perfectly works for you guys too. Yeah. You work with her a lot on listings, and that's
so the boys, my middle son is gone on. He's doing some traveling, and then my oldest Pete has moved to Issaquah, Washington. Mm-hmm. So we've just got my youngest son now.
Yeah.
Troy.
Yeah. So you started Blum, you said in 2006.
Yeah.
Right. And you were talking about how crazy of a time, obviously, that, the crash was, but you pivoted and you kind of angled yourself in such a way to be able to get bank-owned properties. Talk a little bit about, making that work and changing, with the times, how you did that.
Again, you see the market going down and you're thinking, okay, what do we do? Mm-hmm. And so I knew that bank owns were coming on the market. So every single day I made application to asset managers and just kept following up and following up. And that year, we sold almost 400 homes.
In 2006
I think it would have been
after the crash.
Yeah, 2010 or something. I think it was right in there. But we had a really strong bank owned
stronghold, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. Or over, you said over 400 homes. Wow.
Yeah.
How do you manage? So you have X amount of sellers and probably in the height of peak of everything. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. How do you manage having that big of a pipeline? I mean, like, is that just your structure and
It is, but we don't manage it well enough. We
yeah,
talk about that,
yeah,
we got to do more. It's just
yeah,
something that kind of gets pushed aside when you're busy.
sure.
And now it comes, okay, what do? We got to get
Yeah.
back in touch with these
100%,
clients. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that can be daunting. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, I feel it gets crazy when you get 10 or 15,
I know.
loans under contract. But
Yeah.
yeah, having that many different sellers to talk to, or 20 or 30, I just
Yeah.
that's different. That is, and
Yeah. It's huge.
the good thing is sellers and buyers are different. Buyers need a lot of help and
Mhm.
and instruction, unless they're first time home buyers specifically, but other buyers have been through it, but still there's questions, and
Yeah.
there's property questions, and all sorts of different stuff that get entangled with there. But and then there's more people involved on the
Right.
on the buyer side as well. If there's one of the what would be one of the biggest traits that you would discern as a what creates a strong someone that's just getting in the industry or has been in the industry? What would you say that those traits are? Is it, I guess, just go with that, is it hard work, and what does hard work mean? How do you dissect that? um
For
or it
agents that look at us and think we make easy money,
Yeah.
it's not the case.
Hmm.
It's hard work. And you just can't sit. Like I said, you can't sit and think it's going to happen. You've got to constantly be trying to determine where you're going to get that next person to work with. And
Yeah.
um, you look at one area and, okay, I'm going to handle this today. Then the next time I'm going to go over here, but you can't stop and you never can give up. I mean, you
Yeah.
just got to keep doing it.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away from you is you're pretty driven to get
Yeah.
something, and you it sounds like you don't take no for an answer, and you're you really care,
If there's calls to make, I'm not going home till I make them. I
Wow.
mean, that's why you see my car there after
Yeah, so
6.
the funny story is when Gladys came in here. So when I started in real estate, almost 7 years ago, 2016, uh I would never I couldn't stay later than Gladys. And I swear I would try to stay later and she'd change her time. But she would always, she had an old dentist place, a beautiful brick building, but I would drive by her office every single day and you would still be there. I would stay until 8 some nights, 8:30, and you would be there in your white Cadillac. And that
That's
just,
because I knew you were watching.
I know. See, people are watching, so you work harder. But
That's
it's.
right.
I think that is just the distinction. What distinguishes you from others is, you truly. It's just so evident of how hard you do work and care about what you do, and that's kind of why the main reason I wanted you on this is because you're a lifeblood of real estate in Salem in general, but also, I want to know what you have to say about what is in the DNA of someone that's done a really good job in their industry in real estate specifically. And yeah, I guess we can touch on a couple more things before I let you go. But what are I kind of want to hear you talk a little bit about Salem and how that's happened over the last since you've moved here, because you said you moved here and it was still a much smaller town, and now
Very
it's got
much.
all these different areas. So I mean, what has been some fun things, some other, I mean, just, I guess, talk about Salem and
Right.
what you've been a part of as well would be kind of fun to hear.
Yeah. Of course, when I first started, the homes were like 40,000, forty five
Yeah.
thousand, And with the rates so high, it was owner carry. And
Yeah.
so much of this was done at the, 5,000 down, refi in 5 years. And
Yeah.
a lot of that was happening with owner carry. And it worked. It got a lot of people to sell their homes, but it caused some problems too. And so that was really different. And as far as the community goes, what is so cool about this community is that when there's a problem, the businesses come together.
Yeah.
I remember the drug issues. When we started this, no drugs, not in my neighborhood. And I remember so many things and especially when the market crashed, so many of us small businesses just got together on a regular basis just to encourage each other. You can do it. You can do it,
Yeah.
And over, it's just, you look at YWAM, and how it has come together, and family building blocks that started in the basement of a church, and just everything. You just see how it just happened because the community just comes together.
Right.
They're not going to let those things keep going.
Yeah. And just to be a part of that, I think is really cool to see.
It is.
And how that's transformed, because you talk about family building blocks and how it started in the basement of a church.
Yeah.
And how many locations do they have now? I mean, and how big of a deal is it? And every year at why am I missing what it's called? At the vineyard every year. Man, Uncorked. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. I mean, that's just beautiful.
So good.
They do an incredible job, and they provide so much for the community, with kids, right? So yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's a big thing. You talk with the Mr. Tom Hofford at the chamber. It's just so prevalent that the chamber cares, and that other businesses also care, and we want to empower each other. And it does feel, like you have people that are, that are standing with you in battle, especially in
problems for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a community that bends together, and it just keeps happening over and over. You just wonder, okay, what are we going to do about that? And it happens.
Yeah.
I did leadership youth. Were you in leadership youth with the chamber?
I haven't done it yet. No. Yeah. With the Salem
the leadership youth is for high schoolers. So
oh, no. I didn't do it. Too late for me. Yeah. No.
But I did that, and probably 15 years, where every month we would bring in like 25 high school kids that were not, couldn't always afford a lot of things. And so it's so funny because these kids have grown up, and I've been able to help them purchase a home. And it's like, oh, look at you,
And see, and that's the beauty of it. And that just shows that you never are hard selling. You actually care, and you're invested in anyone, right? When you're with them, you're giving them value and whatnot, and they stay connected with you, and I think your lifeblood, in a sense, is your deep connections, and you just staying in front of those connections, perpetually.
Exactly.
Like always, what are ways that I can, keep my brand out there? But it's really cool to just hear the simplicity of your message of, I went and door knocked, I created a database, and then I created this, amazing, giant of a real estate company that you've created. And that all with, just door, and just like you said, with family building blocks, all these different things that you've seen that you've been a part of, the successes of those as well, also is a testament to who you are and how much impact you've had. So, I mean, that's just a big thank you from Salem, I guess. But that's
I owe it to Salem. They've, it's just been such a great place to live, and beautiful community. And even now, I don't know if you've ever done Food for Thought.
Yeah.
Where the businesses gather together.
Mhm.
Again, just the strength of businesses meeting together to encourage each other. it's just, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That just connecting with others. Yeah. We've done, uh, the Chamber of Commerce has a kind of a young leaders
Yeah,
committee as
that's so
well.
good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's we've been a part of that.
Yeah.
It's like you said, just positioning yourself in good places and you'll find yourself doing well. And,
Yeah.
and I think it's also surrounding yourself with other people that inspire you,
Mhm.
and that, if I didn't have a girlfriend or a brother or someone that I wasn't kind of
Yeah.
motivated by, I wouldn't go to the gym in the morning,
I know.
I
Oh,
wouldn't,
we're all that way.
right? So there's so many different things that you can put
Yep.
in your wheelhouse, in your arsenal, if you just got to click into those, and you got to take that into your business too.
True.
So, well, I guess I don't have too much more. I mean, is there anything else that you'd want to add? Kind of what's your excitement on, the rest of what's your view on what we're currently in, as
Yeah.
as a real estate whole, across the country, maybe in a micro sense of Salem, but and then, what is how does it make you move any different? Does it make you think a different way? Does it make you talk in a different way? Do you approach is your approach any different in a market like this?
No, I, as I said, I don't worry
Yeah,
about what's going on around me. I just, get the message across what is happening. And I don't predict what's going to happen because I don't know.
sure. Don't
We
want to put your foot in
just
your mouth.
keep pushing forward and do the best we can. And homes will always sell because people need a home.
Yeah, and
And
people always need to move.
Mhm.
Circumstances do
That's
change.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Gladys, thank you so much for
My
coming on.
pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And I think I could get so many stories off you.
Still pull the
Yeah. Yeah.
sly one.
Yeah. I pulled a sly one. I think she just thought this was a podcast and not an actual
I
recorded
can prove it
podcast.
to you.
Well, I would argue that. I think I said short form videos and reels. So this is,
Mm.
I guess the verbiage could have been a little bit more clear, but I do appreciate you, and I hope
Mhm.
we find this beneficial. I think we'll get some good golden nuggets out of here. And Blum Real Estate is that is a pedestal that so many people strive for, and you really represent them, and your family represents them wonderfully. And you got a lot to be proud of,
And it
what,
totally, I
yeah,
mean, I did not do it by myself.
yeah,
So that's
no,
clear.
for sure. And I can tell that obviously, but with the way that,
I
the
do what
people that
I
you've had
love to
there.
do and they do everything else.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I know that you probably not one that's ever done, right? You never done or never finished, never settled, but to give you a couple roses here,
There you
a couple flowers, give Gladys her flowers because
Yeah.
she's not leaving and she's here to stay. So honestly, wonderful having
Thank
you,
you.
and I appreciate you joining.
My pleasure. Thank you. Shut the camera.
All right.